My name is Wendell Vivian Mobley. I was born September 13th, 1939 in Fondee, Kentucky. And my mom and dad, it was John Mobley and Dallas Mobley.
My name's Vivian Mobley. I was born in Cubbage, Kentucky on August the 4th, 1944. My mom and dad's name is Sol and Bessie Boatwright.
My mom was born in April the 27th, 1913 as Dallas Reed. And she married my dad, John Mobley.
Tell me a real quick story about when your dad came home and you were faking sleeping on the porch.
How do you remember that? And I don't.
Because you told me.
I did?
Yeah.
I forgot it.
Your dad came home and said that boy needs some shoes or breeches.
The back of my pants split open, and I laid with my butt sticking out on the thing. And they saw me and took me in town and bought me some new pants. I just did it to get the pants. We lived in Fondee, Kentucky, a mining camp.
Tell me a little bit more about it.
And as a young kid, I used to hunt rattlesnakes. And your mom don't believe it, but I did. And I just hunted to kill them and get the rattlers. Then I'd make a necklace out of the rattlers and run around jiggling them up and down the road. A lot of kids did that back then. Wasn't a whole lot to do in Fondee, I tell you.
What about the time when you went, when you ran up a tree by something?
Oh, this was a couple of young girls coming up the road, and I was going to show out. I climbed up the tree and it was hanging by my legs. And when they got there, I fell on my head. That hurt.
What about the time when you were up in the woods, you got cornered by something and you had to stay out there all day?
Oh, that was, I was up in the mountains by myself, and I walked up on some wild pigs, and they had a bunch of small ones, and that mother come running at me. I went up a tree, and she kept me up there 3 hours before she went away.
Okay, Mom's laughing her head off.
There was the whole family, all the kids, they could only afford to buy one bike for all of us. And I'd get up real early in the morning and take off on it before they got up. They didn't last long for all of us.
How long did you live in Fondee?
I came to Ohio when I was 10 years old.
10 years old.
I went up here a few years.
You guys, tell me a little bit about the band that you played in with.
It was called the Sierras. That's me and Gary and Harvey and I can't think of Jim.
Miley.
Yeah, Jim Miley. And we played around here for quite a few years. I don't really know how many, but it's quite a few of them.
Tell me about some of the guitars you owned.
I own quite a few old guitars. that I didn't know was worth a lot of money I got rid of.
Tell me about the Gibson, or the Gretsch, or the Gibson.
The Gretsch.
Oh,
Was
yeah.
it Gretsch? I
Yeah,
can't remember.
bought that in Lima, and we were playing down the Indiana border, where the Ohio and Indiana, at a bar there, and we were supposed to play the next night, and that night the place burned down. And I heard if I'd still had that guitar, it's worth $30,000 a day.
And what was the name of the guitar?
100.
Gretsch, Gibson Gretsch or something
Was
like
it Chet Atkins?
Chet Atkins, yeah.
All right, Mama. Tell me your mom's full name.
Bessie Thompson Boatwright. And she was born in 1923. And she was married to Sewell Boatwright. And he was born in 1918.
And do you know when they got married?
I think about 1938. I'm not sure exactly.
Do you remember any stories of how they met?
Oh, I don't know if they already knew each other, but my grandpa Thompson, he was like a musical person, and he always had these instruments. And on Saturday nights, they had a big living room, and on Saturday nights, my grandpa Thompson would take everything out of the sitting room and just put little chairs in there, and everybody would come in and they'd play music. And Grandpa would have a square dance right in his living room every Saturday night almost. And I remember him talking about being at the square dance or at Grandpa's together, Mommy and Daddy. They had to come to the house, I guess. But I just know that Mommy was real young.
Tell me a little bit about your siblings, your brothers and sisters. Anything you can think of.
Quinn was the oldest, and then Emma, then me, then Rob, then Doris and Raj. And Raj always says the youngest one is the smartest and the best looking. So he's probably right. I'll let him get away with it this time.
You have any stories about your brothers and sisters?
A lot, probably. Rob used to drive a little
Ram.
bicycle ram, and he'd push it around with a stick, and he'd roll it around all day long, it seemed like. And I know that one day he just had that so long that every time I saw him, I'd reach out and stop that thing with a stick. And I don't know how many times I did it, maybe 3 or so. And he didn't say a word to me. And then all of a sudden, my sister and I were getting kindling in, and I was squatted down getting kindling, and he drove by with that thing, and I reached out and stopped it again, and he was not happy that time. He told me that, "You do that again and I'm gonna kill you." And Rob never got mad or yelled or was mean, so that was, I knew not to do that again. I don't ever remember him being mean to me or anyone. He was always so good, actually. I don't remember anything like that where he was mean. Of course, he tells me that we were mean. He told me one time, I don't know if I should get it. I don't remember this now, but Rob said that Quinn and I got mad at him one day and did something to him. He ran and hid from us in a tree. He ran up a tree and we ran after him, and we stayed there almost all day. It seemed like forever before he could get out of that tree. And I don't remember it. I must have not been in on it. I was just hanging out. That's all. But I believe that Quinn would do it. And she'd always try to get Emma to go too. Because I remember one time Mommy wanted to go fishing, and Quinn and Emma and I were out in the yard, and Quinn saw some worms in the yard, and she started digging them up with a stick and saying, Emma, let's dig these worms up and save them for Mommy to go fishing. And I said, Mom's going to get mad at us if we dig her yard up. And Quinn says, oh, no, she won't. We'll tell her Viv did it. And so I just thought, oh boy, I'm in trouble. But then I looked around and I saw Mommy standing on the porch smiling, and I knew she heard it all. So felt a lot better. But I was sick a lot for a while there when I was a kid. I had a lot of trouble with my neck, so I don't think I got many whippings, and I think Quinn said that because she figured I wouldn't get a whipping for it. I didn't get whippings at all, hardly. I don't remember but one or two from Mommy, but I'm sure I got a few more than that. And Daddy never whipped me. I think Quinn got 3 whippings. Emma got 1. Raj said he got a bunch, but I don't remember that. I don't remember Raj getting a bunch of whippings. Daddy was he didn't like to whip children. He said, don't ever whip a child when you're mad or angry. You're supposed to be correcting that child, not taking your anger out. So I can remember Daddy always saying those things. He was always trying to teach you something.
Tell us something about your grandma and grandpa.
Oh, well, I had Grandma and Grandpa Thompson. I had a Grandma and Grandpa Boatwright. I probably have more tales to tell about Grandpa Boatwright and Grandma than Grandpa and Grandma Thompson. But Grandpa, he was always the best grandpa in the world. Now that I'm older, I realize that now. I did then too, but he would always tell me if I wanted to go to the ball game, I could have money, or he'd buy me a ticket. But I had to work for it. And he made me do something, and he'd make me think I was paying for it, you know. I had to do something for it. And he would always ask me what I did, or if I could do this or that, and I'd say, I can't sometimes. And he'd say, don't ever say you can't, because you can do anything you set your mind to. And I think in a lot of ways, LJ was like Grandpa in that when I think about things they did when I was younger, because Daddy's youngest brother, LJ, he would throw down some money and he'd say, let one get it. He'd say, don't let her get away with that. And then another one, he'd say, don't let her get away with that. And he'd just have them going back and forth for that money, you know. Emma and Donna Sue, actually. And he would try to make them learn. I think what he intended to do was teach them to, they could be determined and they could do a lot of things. I look back and I think like that because Grandpa was always saying you can, and LJ was teaching us to have a little determination, and so I think that, but LJ got in trouble for doing it because Grandma got after him for it, because he started to fuss every once in a while. He was a little ornery. And he ended up being a teacher. LJ was a college teacher. And so...
Professor?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Daddy's sister Blanche was, and his sister Josie was for a bit, but she said, no way, no more. She went to Washington and Baltimore, Maryland, and she just got married there and didn't teach school anymore. My grandpa, Boatwright, carried mail, and he carried mail on a horse when he was younger, man. And one day he was riding along, I guess, carrying his mail, and he was shot in the arm and the leg. And he lost his arm because of that. He still has his leg, but he lost his arm. And so he had to learn how to live without his arm, I guess. That would be a hard thing for anyone. And I'd say, he always said, you can do anything. I think that was one of the things that made him, had taught him to be more determined about everything. And then Grandpa ran for county office, county magistrate, I think it was. And he was county magistrate for a few years. And the guy that shot him went to jail for a long time. And then he said it was an accident, and he wanted to apologize to my grandpa when he came out. So he came to Grandma and Grandpa's house, and for some reason I just happened to be there when he was there. And I went in while he was sitting on the porch with my grandpa. And Grandma was in the house just walking back and forth. She was not a very happy camper because that man was there. She didn't believe a word he said, so she was not happy. So I do remember all those things. I have a story about Uncle Will. I never said much about Grandpa Thompson and Grandma. Uncle Willie used to walk across the mountain. He had to walk up a mountain first, and he'd bring a guitar or a banjo with him every time. And I don't know how old he was, but he was a little bit older than we were. I think he was a few years older than us. I'm not sure how much. But anyway, he played banjo, guitar, and all that stuff, and he would bring one with him. And he would get right at the top of that hill before he'd start down to come to our house. You could hear him pick the banjo, and he'd pick that banjo for a minute or so, and then you would hear it. It would stop for a minute. And he'd walk a little ways, and he'd stop and pick some more on the banjo. And that would go on till he got to the house. But we kids, we'd be dancing all over the yard. We were so happy to hear that banjo. We knew Will was coming. And when Willie got there, he and Mommy would sing and play. You know, he played, Mommy sang. And he'd sing too. So we always had good music, you know, and stuff.
And your mom was quite the practical joker, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was. She did some funny stuff.
Tell us about the radio, when you guys got the radio.
John, you're kidding. You're not talking about the radio where I asked her where those people were.
No. No, about when people would come up and try to... Oh, no, it was the TV? Was it the TV?
Oh, you're talking about when TVs came out in 1950. You want me to tell about that?
Yeah.
Okay, but that's Grandpa Boatwrights again.
Okay.
Back in the early 1950s, the TVs came out, and my dad came home talking about it, and you can see those people, and you can see their mouth move and see their eyes wink, and all. He was telling Mommy all about it. And then Grandpa and Grandma bought a TV when they first came out, and on certain nights of the week there were certain shows came on that certain people liked to watch, and they learned which nights Lone Ranger and all that good stuff came on, you know. And and Kaz Walker's show had music on it, so a lot of them liked to watch that. And they would come to Grandma and Grandpa's house because they didn't have a TV. They'd come to Grandma and Grandpa's house, and they'd sit, a living room full of people, be sitting in every chair. If I was in there, I had to sit on the floor because it was usually full. And some of them didn't have a seat in there would sit outside on the porch and watch the best they could, you know. And Uncle Clarence wasn't too happy about that. But Grandma and Grandpa, that's okay. Let them do it. And then TV didn't last late back when it first came out. You didn't get to watch it real late. So it only lasted like 7 or 8 o'clock, you know. But I used to watch Kaz Walker's show, and Dolly Parton was on it every Wednesday night. And I didn't want to miss it. I'd cry and everything. Daddy would try to make sure I got there. He'd take me. Because we didn't have a TV either. And Dolly was about 2 years older than me, I think, probably. But she could sing so good. And she would sing. They'd just tell her to sing and she'd sing. And it didn't matter if she had music or what. She'd just take off singing. And she could sing just awesome. So I've always loved Dolly Parton because I feel like I grew up with her, kind of. I kept on watching her, and I remember the first time I heard she had a record out. That was just awesome to me because I always loved Dolly Parton. Now, I had never been a big fan of people in the music. I just loved everybody. But Dolly Parton was different for some reason. And so even Eb Richards, he would pick on me about Dolly sometimes because he knew I loved to listen to Dolly Parton. She had the greatest songs, and she wrote a lot of them.
You already put Dad to sleep.
Yeah, I know, he don't care. Dolly Parton.
There's another question I was going to ask you real quick before we move
I
on.
feel sorry for them guys in movies.
Oh, I didn't tell anybody about me and Quinn and Rob, or me and Quinn and Emma walking into creeks, and Rob did too sometimes, but he didn't care if he got muddy. We got muddy, we had to wash ourselves off, you know, and try to clean up. So Mommy wouldn't know it, but she always knew because we'd splash enough mud on us, on our dresses, so that she knew we'd gotten in the mud hole. Because every time it rained, you could run through those little mud puddles, and they were warm. Those little mud puddles were warm on your toes, and you just run back and forth through them and play in the mud. I don't know. We were girls, but we did it. And then we'd go through the creek and wash it off, you know. But we lived in heaven. It was beautiful there. That was the most beautiful place anyone could have ever lived.
Tell me what you said about that.
I hope you don't get this.
You're all right. Go ahead and tell it.
It was just like living in heaven, you know, a little piece of heaven. And we were poor, we didn't have much, but we had the best life anybody could have. We couldn't have asked for anything more. Dad always said, if you're honest and you don't tell lies and you treat people good, you don't have to have everything. He said that makes you. That's what makes a person, not the stuff they have and the clothes they wear and things. He said it's the kind of person. Daddy was always giving us good advice. Now I know.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't think Daddy and Mommy knew how great they were. I wish I could have told them.
They do now. They know.
I had great grandparents too, actually on both sides, you know. And uncles, aunts, they were all awesome. Mommy had a good family, Daddy had a good family. And we were so blessed, and they were all right there to help each other and anytime they needed them.
Scared me. Firstborn child.
Teresa,
What do you remember when she was born?
7th day, 9th month, 62.
Tell me a little bit about Teresa. What do you remember from her childhood, from when she was little?
Oh, when you was young, give her a bath.
Well, she used to wake me up with a black patent shoe. Once she had little black patent shoes, she'd hit me in the face with them if I was asleep. And they'd be sitting sometimes on the nightstand, and she'd get them and hit me in the face with them. She'd get them, and
To wake you up?
yeah, because I had her in the bed with me, I guess. And
What about when you were giving her a bath that Dad was talking about?
oh, she didn't like to take baths. I don't mean that she fought not to take them. She just didn't like to take them, and she would tell you, oh, "I'll take a bath, but don't get me wet."
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Was she happy when she was little? Tell me about the wagon.
She used to, Wendell bought her a little wagon, a little red wagon. They had them all, that was popular back in those days. And she had it outside playing with it, and some little kid walked up and got it and started playing with it, a little neighbor kid. And he was real little. So she says, "Don't touch it, baby. That's my wagon."
Okay, who was your second born child?
Johnny.
That might be me. Okay, tell me a little bit about my childhood that I might not remember maybe.
You were a happy baby. Actually, very happy little baby. You smiled all the time. I remember.
I remember the part when you were sitting on the couch like that and singing, "Love You, yeah, yeah, yeah."
Teresa
You was
taught
about
him that
6
song.
months old.
I must have liked the Beatles at 6 months old, huh?
Well, it was in the middle of the summer, so you wasn't very old. And it was, you were, say, 6
He's
or
about
8.
6 months, wasn't he? Or 7?
He was born in January, so he'd have been 6 to 7 months old. I always say 6 to 8, because I can't believe a kid like that age can sing a song, but you did. But little kids usually don't talk that young, you know. But you did, you sang first. And Grandma bought you a little guitar, a little plastic guitar, Grandma Mobley. And she let you play with it. And then she took your picture with it. So, but you would sing that song every time Teresa did. You would sing it too. And sometimes you
Because
would.
I love my sissy.
Yeah, you did. Oh, yeah, you heard her. One time when you was just a little bit older than that, you did something and she cried. You must have tripped her or hurt her or something, and she cried. And you was walking around behind her. "Did I hurt you, Teresa? Did I hurt you, Teresa?"
Okay, tell me about when she used to split pop with me.
Well, as pop and orange juice or anything anytime she got something to drink. During the day, you know, sometimes we'd give you a drink of something, and we'd give you half and her half. Well, she would go outside with her half to play, drink hers all up. She'd come back in and you'd still have some left, so she'd have it again.
She'd do another half.
Another half. I
She'd
remember
come
that.
back and have it again.
Okay, tell me about the third born child. What was his name?
Wendell Lee Mobley.
Do you remember when he was born? Now, I was born January 29th, 1964, so I can throw that in. But when was Wendell born?
August 26th, 1965.
So, do you tell me what you remember about his childhood? Maybe a few stories that you remember about Wendell when he was little. Little Wendell.
Now, he didn't like his Betty bye. He
didn't
liked
like to go to bed?
He wanted out of there.
That's funny.
He'd kick and growl till he got out of there. He was not a kid that liked to sit still too much.
Still isn't.
And he still liked that, yeah. Very determined and everything, you know. I don't know. He just loved to play, but he didn't want to be in bed, and he was like you. He learned to sing at a very early age, because I think he was not much more than a year old. He was singing at church.
I remember him singing at church.
Who made the stars at night? Who made the sunshine bright? Nobody but my Lord. He sang that. Pastor Loudermilk picked him up and held him up to the mic one time. And he's told, now Wendell, sing us a song. And that's what Wendell sang.
Yeah.
So he had heard Wendell do that before. And you guys always watched your dad play music, you know, and you would sing along or sing something. So Pastor Loudermilk knew that, and he was just encouraging it, I guess.
Wendell.
And you and Wendell always played music, and when you were real little, I think you would even find old speakers and make your own sound system and everything as you grew up into little boys. And I remember when Wendell was like about 5 years old or 7 years old, he heard this. I had this record playing on a tape or something. He come in there and he says, "Mom, when I get big, that's what I'm going to do." He did.
Well, he knew what he was going to do, didn't
He did. And you know, as you watch them, you know, kids know all those things so young that we kind of knew something was going to happen with all of that music and stuff, because...
Okay, tell me who was the fourth born child.
Well, that was Brian.
And do you remember the birthday? Brian's birthday?
Brian was born February 16th, 1970.
Tell me a little bit about Brian when he was little, some things that you remember.
Lot of stuff.
I remember a lot of stuff too, but I'm going to let you tell what you
I don't want to tell it all.
Some of it's secret.
Yeah. Well, he was a cute baby. He
Tell me about the drive-in.
Oh, we took you guys to the drive-in movie one night. The whole family, you know. We pulled in at I think it was the Lake Drive-In, and Brian didn't like what was on there, and so he told his dad, "Dad, turn it to Channel 7." He wanted a different movie, and so.
That's funny. Brian, do you remember taking him to the grocery store, Pantry Pride, I think it was, and They had the automatic doors, and he hadn't experienced
scared
it yet. He come running back to the car with me and Dad in the car, and he said, "I can't go in there. There's a ghost opening the door."
He was scared when he was real little. He was scared of stuff like that. And back in those days, you didn't see that many of them. They were just kind of, I guess, starting out, those electric doors or something.
Yeah.
And I know that a big old grater? What is that? What he had up there? Backhoe. Woody had a backhoe up there, and Wendell would get it and start it up. And Brian was scared of that when he was real little. He'd start crying. But it didn't take him long till he overcame that stuff. Brian, when he was a baby, he was little and he loved dogs and he played with them all the time. And we even had a dog for a while. And the newsman saw him outside playing with the dog in the yard one day, and he took his picture and wrote a little article about it.
Where the Pizza Hut is.
I have that somewhere here. And he was just a real little, I believe the dog's name was Opie.
I remember Opie.
Do you?
Yeah.
And we lived down next to St. Mary's when that happened.
Where the Pizza Hut is now.
Okay. Tell me who your fifth born child was.
Oh my goodness. That was an ornery
You
one.
forgot?
I think he was a little ornery.
Who was it?
Mikey.
Michael.
Anthony?
Michael Anthony Mobley.
And he was born what day? Year?
December 31st.
New Year's Eve.
Well, let me.
Years?
December 31st, 1972.
1972.
Uh-huh.
And what do you remember? What's the first memories that come to mind of when Mikey was little?
He was a beautiful baby. We all wanted to hold him all the time. And he had a little tipped up nose. He was a cute one.
He was our baby, wasn't he?
Yeah.
The whole family.
Yeah, Teresa used to get up in the morning and say, "Mom, bring me the baby. Mom, bring me some toast."
Feed me now.
And she'd sit and hold the baby just to get everything done for her. But yeah, Mikey. And then when Mikey got out of a little older, and he didn't like to wear diapers when he started walking and everything. He walked well. I can't remember exactly how old he was, but he got around well. And he would pull his diapers off and walk around the house with no diaper on. And so it was hard to fight it all the time. Unless you kept pants on him, you couldn't keep his diaper on him. And so we just let him walk around sometimes that way, and Johnny was laying in the floor watching TV laying on his tummy, and Mikey walked up and peed all over your back.
I remember all too well.
Do you remember
Yes,
that?
I do. I
And
certainly
then-
do.
We had a little cable hole in the living room that went down to the basement, and we didn't have a TV down there back then. But we had a little cable hole that you could run a cable into the basement and have a TV down there. Well, Mikey, he didn't want to go to the bathroom because he had to walk up 2 or 3 steps to do it. So we had a little step up and then a bathroom there. It was just a little landing, really. And he peed in the hole. You had to watch him. He would do it anywhere.
You had to hide your shoes, he peed in them too.
Lord.
He peed in the closet one time.
Oh, gee.
I think he told me one day, I was telling him about that, and he says, he said, "Mom, I couldn't understand why I could do all that." He said, "I just wanted to see what all I could do. He said that was amazing to me that I could do that. And all my kids were music. Right. Brian was a good writer in school as well, and Teresa. They didn't get into the music the way you other three did, but they were good writers. And Brian has awards in it, and Teresa has these book where she wrote a short story, so. And I still have that somewhere.
I can't believe I can hear the compressor out there running.
But you kids were just the best in the world, you know. I had the best kids in the whole world, just like my grandkids now.
How about your husband?
And I can't say the same. I'm not going to tell a story.
Oh, Lord.
Tell the truth.
Okay.
No, forget it.